Okay, welcome back. We are here with another short episode. Today, I felt called to speak on destruction as creation. That when we see the natural disasters of the world clearing way for something new to be created, we have to see that it is the same process within our lives, and that the more that life causes us to ask for a more aligned way of living, for relationships that feel more concise and clear and closer to our heart, for a career that feels like we don't have to sacrifice our true passions, right? When we ask for a bigger life that is just in more connection with who we really are, then we also have to be accepting of the fact that there will be a removal of everything that is not truthful, that is not in alignment with who we are becoming, that is not in alignment with the version that we have asked to become, so that we're creating new versions of ourselves all the time. Every experience that we have in life shows us something. The contrast shows us what we don't want to be living, shows us then what we do want to be living. Every person that we meet, we see a part of ourselves within them that we may not have realized yet. So that the purpose of walking through life is to enjoy the delicious unfolding of getting to know ourselves better, of getting to experience the physical reality in all of its five senses, so that we can then be the creator of what it is that we really want to experience, and that we can then become a more realized version of our soul self in the physical experience. That we come here not remembering who we are or why we're here, but that in the process of life, in the process of the ups and downs, and getting to experience everything, we then get to reawaken and remember to who we are, to why we're here, to where we came from, you see. To that knowing that life is supposed to be good, that our true inherent nature is love, that we exist from a place of always creating because it never stops. Think about how many times that you wanted to achieve something and then you achieved it and it felt good for a moment, and then it was off to the next thing. That it's never going to end in the way that we think it does, not even when this current incarnation is finished. That there is always an expansion, there is always something that we're going to be working towards. But then the question is, how are we seeing it? From which perspective? Are we understanding that the destruction is the creation, and therefore we are looking towards the creation of it all? Looking to understand that this is what we have asked to call in, that this is just a part of the expansion process? Or are we becoming overly consumed with the destruction, with the victimization, with holding on to what was, to the old? Have we become so inundated and comfortable and familiar with the old that we would rather sit in a place that feels like it no longer belongs to us than choose the more dangerous feeling but more exciting and expansive option of allowing the inevitable movement forward of who we are becoming? So that then we realize that when we take on a new decision to do something big, to change our career, to move into a new relationship, to let go of or make new friendships, when we do these big moments in our life of something new, we are shifting into a timeline of what we have called in. But then there's always going to be, sometimes at least, the moment of, am I going to shrink to this? Am I going to allow fear to get in my way of stopping me, of moving towards what it is that I really want, you see? But that we have so much programming, we have so much conditioning that makes it hard to really get in tune with who we really are. That makes it hard to get in touch with the excitement and the joy, that we would rather sit in the familiar of the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, right? Realizing that so many thoughts that we think, opinions that we hold, beliefs that we reenact every day are not our own, that we're living out the programming and the conditioning of our society, of our ancestors, of our parents. But that we know the way it feels because it feels like we're shrinking to fit into that mold. But the more that we are calling in that expansion, the more that we are asking for something more, the more that reality of playing small, of living based on our old conditioning feels so painful that eventually a hermit crab is going to have to outgrow that shell. It's going to have to move on, no matter how much it loved that home. And we're like the hermit crab, that we are always expanding, but are we going to align with the perspective of our soul, understand what the experience is for and showing us, and being excited for where it is that we get to be going? Or are we going to be stuck in the identification of our ego? Are we going to let our negative emotions and our limiting beliefs control us? Are we going to be overly identified with that ego identity, right? With the programming and conditioning of how we were taught to play it small, to play it safe, to fit in, right? But that we're not being afforded that ability anymore. That as the ascension of the planet rises, as the energy becomes more intense, as we become more full of who we really are, the option of staying small and stuck in our limiting beliefs and programming doesn't even feel possible anymore. And if we do choose that reality, it becomes so excruciating that it just becomes unbearable. So it's either, are we choosing now in this moment to turn towards the unexpected, the unknown, but the full expansion of who we're becoming, or do we stay in the familiar? So now we can see that if we are being confronted by our past, if we have relationships that once worked, no longer working, if we have a career that once felt like it was okay enough, now feeling like it's entrapment, if we're feeling like the decisions that were made from an older part of ourselves that was more in that conditioning, more in the need to please others, more in the need to fit in, if we feel that the decisions that we made from that point are no longer working for us, then that is a good sign, because it is showing you the gap that has been created between where you once were and where you are now. So that this message is to say to you that you don't need to be afraid if something doesn't feel right to you anymore. You don't have to feel like you can't change your mind, because the whole point is that we're always changing. The whole point is that we're always going to see it from a new perspective. The whole point is that we're doing this so that we can become more in line from our soul's perspective, that we can live as the truth and authentic voice of our soul in the physical reality, right? That we can still be within the dream, but to be awakened to it, to what it's really all about, which then causes us to not take it as seriously. It causes us to see things with new eyes, so that then we're not asking the reality that we're in to change anymore. We see that it always has to come from within. We have to embody the clarity. We have to embody the love, the joy, the decisiveness, the bold action towards our dreams. Because it's always a choice that then, on the other hand, if we're choosing to embody fear, reluctancy, guilt, obligation, people-pleasing, needing to be fit in, insecurity, then that is the reality that we create, you see. It's just a choice of where are we going to feed our energy towards. So that if we're seeing that the past is now confronting us and we are really being shown that it's not working anymore, that is a gift. Because again, it shows us that we are now in a different place. It shows us the evolution that we have allowed for ourselves and the expansion that has been brought in based on what we have lived. So that if you asked God to see with the eyes of Source, to hear with the eyes of your soul, to live with the joy from your inner child, then that is what you will find. But it also means that then you will not see that reality that you exist in now the same way anymore. That if you're seeing with the eyes of God, if you're experiencing with the joy of your inner child, with the hearing and intuition of your soul, then you're going to start to see in which the ways that you had lived a life that was not serving you, and you won't be able to sugarcoat it anymore. You won't be able to live that anymore. It feels like cat claws on a chalkboard. So the trick is that we don't need to crumble to these realizations that it's not working anymore. The relationships aren't working, the career is not working, the way that we've held ourselves is just not working anymore. It's okay to let go of what is no longer serving your best interest. It is okay to outgrow something. But what is the most important thing to do is to allow yourself the grace to be messy, to be uncomfortable, to be figuring it out as you move forward, that it's not going to be perfect. But it is what you are meant to be doing here. You are always on that continual, expansive journey moving forwards. And the energy right now is ramping up to such a degree that we don't have a choice anymore. That everything that no longer is us, everything that does not come from a place of truth and authenticity, from a place of our soul, is going to come up. It is going to be triggered. You'll see if you haven't already. But I bet you, most of you who are watching this are already experiencing this. You're like, yep, that's freaking true. So it sure is for me too. But if it's triggering, then that is a beautiful invitation. That is a gift to see yourself more clearly. It is a gift to release what is triggering you, to understand the beliefs and the wounding that you hold that is creating that trigger in the first place. The trigger is just an energetic knot. That's all that it is. So you are seeing the energetic knot, experiencing it as, ooh, ouchie, and now giving yourself the grace and understanding to work that out, to relax through it, but to not let that knot stay. That the energy that doesn't serve us anymore, the kinks in our energetic field, in our beliefs, and our thoughts, and our emotions, and our programming, it has to be cleared. We don't have any other choice now. We've already come so far that we're not going back, baby girl, baby angel. Now is the time where we have to boldly move forward into the life that we have always called in. So surrender your attachments. Allow the unfolding, allow the crumbling, allow the releasing of anything that doesn't serve you anymore. But see the ways in which your attachments to something, to an old identity, to the way things were, to familiarity, right? See how that may still hold you back from truly answering the call that you have already placed. Everything that you are calling in is something that you have created, that you have put on your timeline. But you are now just aligning yourself with your soul's perspective, with the gorgeous unfolding and expansion of who you really are. You are becoming more aligned to your truth. But the attachment to what was is what makes it feel scary, is what makes it feel hard, is what makes you feel grief. And it's okay if you're feeling that, because we're humans. So you're probably going to need to experience some of that if you've been holding that energy. I'm right here with you. I'm doing it too. But we can do it. That's the point. That it can be done, and those emotions, the processing of it, has a purpose. That you're not going to get stuck in it. If you're feeling the grief, the anxiety, the fear, you have to feel it through, allow it to go. But always hold the perspective of your higher self, which is the joy, which is the expansiveness, which is the anticipation, you see. That is the true essence of your soul. And if you're feeling anything that is a negative emotion, the fear, the grief, the emotional blocks, it just tells you where you are in proximity to how your soul sees what you are placing your attention on, right? So if you're feeling really heavy about something, it just means that you're seeing the situation differently than your true self. And that in order to close that gap, you have to align your perspective with your truth, with your soul self. And you'll know it because it'll feel differently, that you'll see the endings. You'll see the truth of what this reality has been and what it's shown you. And it won't have that same emotional reaction anymore. It won't have that intensity, that pang of grief. It just becomes understanding. You see it as the gift that it was, those triggers, the experiences, the good and the bad. You see how it brought you to where you are today. That who you are today is born out of the contrast that you agreed to experience while we were here in this physical incarnation. So that then we would never want to ask for a perfect existence. We would never ask for someone else to be perfect for us. Because we see that it's always just an opportunity to become more aligned and realigned with who we are, with what we want, with choosing ourselves. That every trigger that we experience is just a showing of a knot that we have energetically, emotionally, that needs to be worked through. That we are seeing something in the perspective that is not from how our higher self sees it. That's all it is. It's simple. We don't have to attach the drama and the trauma to what we are experiencing, but rather just enjoy the unfolding. Move into what you have called into your life. Hold the vision of what you want to experience. Allow the expansion and trust that everything is happening in the timing that is meant for it to be. Okay? Enjoy it. Love it. Love this life. Go out, experience. Have the contrast, and then be clear on what it is that you really want to be living. And start to move into the perspective of the soul's experience of this lifetime, the reawakening to who we really are and why we're here. And that is the cheat code to life. Okay, T, love you guys. If you've come this far, thank you so much for being here. Please leave a comment. I love reading the comments and interacting with you and knowing what resonated. And I'm going to put some of my links in the show notes to my TikTok, my Instagram. I do one-on-ones. I do courses. So anything that resonates with you, it'll be in the show notes. And until next time, thank you for being here.